Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 2 of week 8 on animal stories. We have been working on revising and editing our animal stories that we are working to make for our collection. So, yesterday we talked about the rubric that we were using to score a story that we read, and we also talked about how we were going to use that same rubric for the stories that you're writing. So today we're going to be looking a little bit more into the illustrations and how an illustration can impact a story. So these are the common types of illustrations that we've seen: drawn pictures, photos, timelines, maps, graphs, charts, diagrams. Now, I know that we've seen a lot about diagrams because we learned a lot about those during our bug unit, and we know a lot about maps and timelines and photos through a lot of our social studies because we see that a lot in the social studies in studies weeklies. But we haven't seen a whole bunch on charts and graphs. So I have a little bit of an example of each of those to go over with you guys. Here's the first four we're going to look at. So a timeline is basically what it sounds like. It's kind of going through the order of events. So like this one right here, it says the day I was born, I got a dog, first day of school, Disney World vacation, learned to ride a bike. Today I'm 11 years old and I'm going into the sixth grade. So that means that this timeline is from the day somebody was born to the day that they turned 11. So these are some of the major events, okay? They go in order: first, and then after that, second, third, fourth, fifth. So you could even do it about yourself. Maybe you could show a timeline of events about your character and what they're going through with the problem and their solution. The next one is a map. You could use a map in your story. Maybe your character is going on a treasure hunt, or maybe you draw a map to kind of show where the character is at, maybe in the town, or where the character might need to go. Maybe the character's at one place in the town and your character needs to get to another spot. So that's kind of the good thing with a map. You could do an illustration. That's what we're most familiar with. We do a lot of illustrations where we draw the pictures, right? And our pictures that we draw need to match our story. And then a diagram, which we're familiar with from our bug unit, basically is just a picture and it's labeling different things. Here's a couple of more. We have a photo. So we all know what a photograph is. A lot of our bug books had photos in them because they were showing us informational stuff, right? You could use a chart to show different things within your story, or a graph. So we're going to look at Chicken Little again, and we're going to think about these questions when we review over Chicken Little real quick. It says, what can you learn about the characters from this illustration? The setting. What can you learn about the events and how the characters feel and respond to those events? What emotion do you feel when you look at the image? How does the way the illustration is drawn help teach a message or a lesson? And do you like illustration? Why or why not? Okay, so let's look at our story real quick. So we read Chicken Little yesterday, and I'm not going to read it to you again today, but we're just going to go through and look at the illustrations from our story, okay? So we talked about how it kind of shows us the setting. Yesterday, we said that the setting wasn't necessarily specifically told to us, but we can tell through the illustrations what the setting is, right? We know Chicken Little is outside reading a book, and it looks like she's sitting on like a little road or a little path walkway, right? We get a picture of all the different characters, kind of like the path of what she's doing and where they're going. In each one, we get to meet a new character, but we also see the other characters that we've already met. They're all kind of shows us that they're walking. They have a mission. We know that they're trying to go to the castle to see the king, right? Maybe they could have put a map of where Chicken Little started to where the king's castle was. So maybe that they would know where they were going. That might have helped them when Foxy Loxy came in, because he told them that they were going the wrong way, right? And if they had that map, maybe they would have known that he was trying to trick them. So maybe that would have been something good that could have been put in the story for illustration. We kind of see, we kind of have an idea of what happened to all the animals, but it doesn't specifically tell us. But we can see that none of them are coming out of the cave that Foxy Loxy led them into, right? And then the king is sitting there. He looks kind of like he's waiting for everybody, but nobody shows up. So let's think about that. It says, what can you learn about the characters in this story from the illustrations and the setting? We learned where the setting was, right? We didn't really learn too much about the characters like personalities, but we did learn kind of an idea about what happened to the characters from all the different feathers and stuff that were kind of strewn over after Foxy Loxy walked out of the cave. It says, what can you learn about the events and how the characters feel or respond to those events? We can tell that whenever that acorn fell on Chicken Little, she responded by getting up, and we can kind of tell that she's scared and she's nervous without the author specifically having to tell us that, because of the way she's running and she's gathering everybody and she's yelling. We have to tell the king the sky is falling. So we do learn that Chicken Little and all the other characters are feeling a little nervous, right? And we could tell that from the illustrations. Also, when we saw Foxy Loxy, he kind of looked like he might be sneaky looking in just the picture. He kind of looked like he would not be a very trustworthy character the way that the illustrator drew him. And then the different emotions that you feel, we talked about that. I feel like maybe Chicken Little and the others maybe felt nervous or worried because they really thought the sky was falling. We saw the king, he kind of just looked bored, sitting up in his castle staring out. We saw Foxy Loxy kind of looking a little sly, like he was up to something. How does the way the illustration is drawn help teach the lesson or the message, right? So I don't know that the illustrations necessarily helped us teach the message or the lesson, but maybe if we think about it, we can think maybe the pictures showed us that you shouldn't trust somebody if they tell you to go another way, if maybe you're not super familiar with them. It's not, that one isn't very clear in this story for me. And do you like the illustrations? Why or why not? I do like the illustrations, but since some of that was not very clear to me, I feel like maybe they could have added a little bit more to the illustrations. Just like I said, maybe it would have been nice if they had a map or something in our story, which could kind of help our characters figure out where they're going, and then maybe they wouldn't have been tricked by Foxy Loxy, right? So that's just what I think. It kind of depends on what you think on this. So you can discuss all of these things with your home learning coach about the story that we just read if you want. Maybe you don't agree with everything I said, and that's fine because we all have our own opinions, right? That's just kind of what I felt when I read this story. Just some things that I thought might have been good to add to it, the illustrations, to kind of help make things a little bit more clear. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.